Here on Wham Baam Dashcam, we've shown you over 1,000 dashcam videos sent in by our fans, and we serve up 20 new ones every week. Today we're showcasing some of the craziest clips we've ever featured, so buckle up for Wham Baam Dashcam's Worst Drivers of Missouri, Volume 1. Fisher was on his way to Costco to get a new tire when he heard a strange sound behind him. He didn't see anything out of the ordinary at the time, but check out what he found when he reviewed his dashcam footage. A driver ahead of him slowed down before merging onto the highway, forcing everyone behind him to slow down. The driver of a blue Mazda slid off the road to avoid rear-ending a silver Mazda before slamming into the guardrail. Fisher told us our channel made him interested in owning a dashcam, but he only recently bought one after being rear-ended. He thinks everyone should have a dashcam and everyone should pay attention while driving. This submitter was headed to a basketball game after work. As he drove past a car turning into a parking lot, another driver didn't see him coming and pulled out in front of him, leaving him no time to react. Our submitter's Hyundai Elantra rolled off the side of the road and into a ditch after striking the Subaru head-on. His insurance provider totaled his car and sent him a check for $8,000, but he told us that wasn't enough to pay it off. He's thankful first responders arrived quickly and that there weren't more serious injuries. He added this final message for our viewers: please be careful when coming out of a parking lot. This submitter looked in his rearview mirror and spotted the driver of a Ram truck road raging against the driver of a Porsche. The pickup driver repeatedly tried passing the Porsche in the bike lane before finally turning onto another road. It looks like the drivers traded words before the pickup drove off. I know someone is going to be upset by how I pronounce Porsche, but it's probably the same person who thinks I pronounce Huracan incorrectly, and they probably live in Nevada. Angela had been driving down a Missouri highway when the driver of a Ford Escape hogging the passing lane was triggered by her attempt to pass him in the travel lane. He sped up to prevent her pass, then brake-checked her. Eventually, the Ford driver got into the travel lane, but when Angela passed him in the passing lane, he swerved into her Nissan Altima, clipping the fender before losing control and barreling into the median. The Ford Escape smashed through a safety fence before finally stopping. The impact nearly ripped a front wheel off and totaled the SUV. When Angela stopped and asked if he was okay, he started yelling at her. He started accusing her of swerving into his lane. Angela provided the police with her dashcam footage before continuing on her way, leaving the Ford driver to wait for a tow truck for his wrecked vehicle. Thankfully, she's able to continue driving her Altima while waiting for his insurance provider to call her back. She said, "Get a dash cam, a good one. Don't waste your money on a cheap one. It's worth it." She also wanted to shout out her husband William, who watches the latest Wham Bam videos with her every week. If you want to be sure you never miss an episode, hit that subscribe button. Drone Master witnessed instant justice after a speeding driver zoomed past him. The speeder passed another vehicle, this time illegally, but was spotted by an oncoming police officer who lit up the party lights before flipping a U-turn to pull the scofflaw over. You'll love to see it. Logan spotted a driver helpfully making a gap for another driver and nearly causing a collision as a result. When are people going to stop doing this? Remember, leaving a gap for another driver when you have the right-of-way isn't courteous, it's dangerous. I think it's time for us to start raising awareness of this well-intentioned bad habit. Why don't we start using the hashtag #CloseTheGap on social media? Let's see if we can inspire some people to abandon this driving behavior that only endangers the very drivers they're trying to help. Derek was driving in Kansas City when he noticed a Corvette behind him coming in hot. The Corvette driver had nowhere to go but into the back of a Dodge pickup truck.
Are you kidding?
Derek told us he gave a copy of his dashcam footage to the pickup driver. Nobody was injured, but he told us the Corvette driver seemed very unconcerned about the inconvenience he'd caused to a total stranger. This submitter was casually cruising in his Lexus when furniture that wasn't properly secured in a pickup truck ahead of him suddenly tumbled into the road. Thankfully, our submitter was able to swerve to avoid hitting the furniture while the driver of the pickup slowed down to collect their cargo. Obviously, they'd forgotten to say, "That ain't going anywhere." This submitter was coming to a gentle stop when the driver of the pickup behind him didn't dodge before ramming his Lexus RX 350. After the collision, both drivers pulled over to exchange information, and that's when he found out the other driver's insurance coverage had expired. He ended up having to make a claim with his own insurance provider. Angela was on her way home from work when an oncoming minivan turned across her lane, forcing her to a complete stop to avoid T-boning it with her Nissan Altima. Angela slammed on her brakes and laid on her horn while the minivan driver leaned into the turn. She's thankful her brakes were new and she was able to avoid a collision, especially considering she'd been going 45 miles per hour at the time. She's also thankful she had a dash cam since her footage would have proved she had a green light if there had been a collision. She told us everyone should get a dash cam. Aaron was driving down a highway in Missouri when he watched an oncoming driver make an illegal turn onto a one-way U-turn lane before heading straight toward him. Aaron flashed his headlights to warn the confused driver, but thankfully a cop noticed what was happening and immediately pulled him over. This overhead view might help you understand what was happening. There's a special lane for drivers to use to make a U-turn and head the other way, but it's a one-way road that oncoming drivers aren't supposed to use. Thankfully, no collisions occurred, and Aaron kept going as it seemed the police officer had the situation well in hand. Watch what happened when Savannah was one light from work. As Savannah entered the intersection on a green light, a driver from the left ran their red light. Savannah didn't see her coming due to another car on Savannah's left that blocked her view. Savannah told us the other driver's insurance was so bad that they wouldn't pay for her car to be towed. Instead, she bent her fender out and tied some wire around her bumper cover so she could drive home. Savannah told us the cops were only able to write the other driver a citation because of her dashcam footage. She said, "Get a dashcam. It will save you a lot of time and money." Therese watched an overconfident pickup driver publicly demonstrate his lack of driving skill when he tried to accelerate through a turn on a wet road. Well, that's certainly one way to show the world you have no idea how to drive. Thankfully, nobody was hurt by the spinning pickup's failed turn, not even the inept pickup driver. Kazemi was taking the long way home when he noticed a pair of SUVs up ahead that was slowing down traffic as one towed the other with a tow strap. You can't see them yet, but you will in a moment. The driver of a Dodge in the left lane nearly sideswiped Kazemi's Hyundai Kona when they began merging to get around the slower traffic without checking their blind spot. Kazemi honked and swerved to avoid a collision with the Dodge Charger. Wait, that's not a Charger? A Durango. No? Avenger? Dart. Daytona? Stratus. Caliber? Caravan. Magnum? Demon? Caliber. Wait, I said that already. Seriously, sometimes identifying the cars in these videos is a real challenger. Oh well, let's move on. Paul was on his way to get Chinese food for his 5-year-old son William, who's a huge fan of Wham Bam videos. Suddenly, he watched a white van careen through a red light, T-boning an SUV. Police responded to the scene, and Paul told us nobody appeared to be injured. He overheard that the van had more people than seats inside, and the driver didn't have insurance. He shared his dashcam footage with the police. This emitter was taking a passenger to work when he spotted a Tesla behaving badly just ahead of him in a turn lane.
That Tesla man can't drive. That Tesla man can't drive.
The impatient Tesla driver went into the oncoming lanes to go around the Civic before speeding off down the road. At this point, he's just asking to get Honda bumped. Our submitter told us he's subscribed to Wham Baam Dashcam, Tesla Cam, and Security Cam and watches them all every week. Thanks, human shielding, whatever that is. Ira was headed home from work when a black pickup pulled out in front of him while he was going over 50 miles per hour. Ira slammed on the brakes and honked, slowing to 30 miles per hour in seconds and barely avoiding T-boning the pickup. He told us he's glad he pays attention while driving, unlike some people. Camden was driving to Arkansas to visit a friend when traffic ahead of him began braking hard. As he slowed down, he instinctively checked his rearview mirror only to see an SUV bearing down on him. An oncoming F-150 stopped Camden from using the other lane to escape a rear-end collision. The driver of the SUV didn't speak English, so they used a translation app to communicate. Thankfully, he did have insurance. His insurance provider decided Camden's 2011 Prius was totaled and paid him $5,000 for it. Kaysen was driving in stop-and-go traffic on the interstate when he was rear-ended by a Nissan Altima. The Altima driver was also rear-ended, but the other driver fled the scene and was never found. Thankfully, nobody was injured. Repairing his Chevy Bolt cost $6,000, which the other driver's insurance provider paid for. They also paid for a rental car, and they even paid for the gas, since Kaysen normally doesn't need to buy any. The driver Aaron encountered while driving down a one-way road wasn't nearly as intelligent. Aaron laid on the horn and swerved around the car that was about to turn head-on into his lane. Aaron told us he saw the other driver correct his mistake in his rearview mirror, and he probably had to check his pants too. Chris was on his way to deliver bread in a box truck when he encountered a driver exiting the highway using the on-ramp.
You need to turn around. You need to go that way. And you're going the wrong way.
Chris told us he had a line of cars behind him as he blocked the other driver from continuing. She insisted that he move and let her by, but he wouldn't budge. Eventually, she did turn around before heading back onto the highway to hopefully exit using an off-ramp instead. Chris told us, always pay attention and keep off your phone. Caesar was on his way home from the gym when he noticed a Nissan Rogue approaching quickly in his rearview mirror. When the car ahead of him slowed down to turn, he swerved to the left to avoid the rapid Rogue. The Nissan driver hopped the curb, rupturing a tire, but still hit the rear bumper cover of the other car. Caesar stopped and gave them copies of his dashcam footage, and thankfully, nobody was injured. Cheyenne was on her way to school with her mom in the car when they noticed police lights flashing up ahead. The driver in the other lane decided to move over to give the cop more room, but they didn't check their blind spot first and nearly sideswiped Cheyenne's Ford Fusion. Thankfully, she noticed and avoided any contact. This submitter was headed to lunch with his dad and sister when a car approaching behind them suddenly slammed into a power pole. It's hard to see what happened due to the angle of the camera, but the impact was enough to snap the power pole in two places and halt traffic when the lines started bouncing around. Our submitter stopped to check on the driver, and he said the man seemed dazed but not injured. On their way back, they saw firefighters who had responded to the scene. See this thing? It's some sort of storm drain cover or something. Probably not something you'd want to get a tire stuck in, right? This submitter watched a pickup driver try to turn early into a parking lot and hit this instead. Okay, that just looks painful. The pickup driver had to drive up and over the curb, then grind the bottom of the truck against it to get back out of the grass. Ouch.
Wham, bam, we got a Patreon man. Please support the show.